What's the best use of whatever free time you have in your business? How do you get people you meet offline to subscribe to your online email list? And what should you do when you're struggling to monetize your expertise? You're about to find out. Welcome to the Clients from Content podcast. Today's episode is a special one because I'm going to share with you something typically only members of my Clients from Content program get to see. Every month, members are invited to join me on an office hours call where they can get one-on-one help from me with their business and learn from the help I give others. What you're about to hear in today's episode are 3 excerpts from a recent office hours call with questions members asked me and my answers. To learn more about how my Clients from Content program can help you for as little as $99, go to joshspector.com/program. Now, let's get to the first question. Clients from Content member Jared Barnes has the kind of problem most creators would die for. He has a bunch of free time and isn't sure how best to use it. Here's what I recommended he do to grow his business during his slow summer months. I love this question. I was like, ooh, this is a fun question. I don't know that my answer is going to live up to how good the question is, but Jared, do you want to just let people know quickly what your question was?
Sure thing. So it's funny because I was almost like, I shouldn't ask this because I feel like it's kind of obvious, but my question is this. So I'm a professor and I teach students at plants and I'm half-time during the summer. And so I am coming out of a period, March, April, I don't know if y'all know, but it's insane busy already in the horticulture world. And then on top of that, having, the semester, we're wrapping up finals this week. And so I was just wanting to hear some perspectives about how to have an efficient summer. As I said, I'm half-time. I think you know that I have a podcast and a newsletter that I send out. And the goal of those is, of course, to educate people about how to do this naturalistic style planting, like you kind of see behind me here for the Southeast. But one of the things too is I use that content to help drive people towards purchasing my classes and doing that. I didn't mention this in the email, but I'm also working on a book proposal. I had a publisher reach out to me about that. So I essentially have 100 days before classes start back again in the fall. And I'm trying to figure out strategies to have an efficient summer so that the other 256 days, whenever my full-time job is going on, I can run a more efficient, my company or my side gig is called I can run Miriam sort of more efficiently during that time. So again, coming out of this haze of the end of the semester, I was just wanting some perspectives. I know I can generate content ahead of time, record podcasts at the time, but I was just curious any fresh perspectives on that. Thank you.
So first of all, congratulations on making everyone else on this call hate you. Jared's big problem, everybody, is that he has 100 days of free time. So I'm sure everyone can relate. Okay. So here's some suggestions. I thought about, well, okay, what would I do? So the first thing is review your existing and pre-existing content to analyze what's working best and why. Go through, I don't know how much social you'll do, but go through the newsletters, see what's getting the most clicks, go through the podcast, see what's getting listened, try to figure out, learn as much as you can about what is working. You can maybe even use AI. You can upload, hey, here's the downloads and episode titles. What do you notice about which ones tend to get more, whatever, here's newsletter links and what, basically sort of do some research on your own stuff, so that you might uncover some things and be like, hey, when I do this, it works really well. When I talk about this, it works really well. Like my best posts tend to have this in common, that kind of thing. Then obviously you mentioned you can bank content in advance, but that also can include content that you want to repurpose. So you've done all this research, you can now put together, not only are you banking new content, but you're like, hey, I reviewed my last 6 months of content. Here's the best posts. I'm going to repurpose these, which is another way to get ahead of things. And they're going to work. The other thing I think you could do is you could spend some time setting up cross promotions, collaborations, find newsletters, find podcasts, find people that have big Instagram accounts, anyone where you're like, because that doesn't take a lot of time, but usually when we're busy, that's like I don't have time to reach out to whatever. So this is a good time to find those people, reach out to them. You don't have to do it right now. You can do it right now, but you could be like, hey, let's do this 2 months from now, or, so you could actually kind of schedule cross promotions in advance. An idea that I have had and almost do like once every 2 months, I'm like, I got to do this. This is so simple. Why won't I do this? If I had 100 days, maybe I would find 6 people. Let's say that have newsletters, or you could do it with newsletters and with podcasts, 6 people you want to do cross promotions with. When you reach out to them, instead of just saying, hey, would you like to do a cross promotion? Say, would you like to do a cross promotion once every 6 months? And we just make this a standard thing. So you and I, we're going to do January and July, whatever it is, right? Then you go to the next person and we're going to do February and August. And so you line these all up so that you just know, you don't have to do outreach. They don't have, just, hey, it's that time. Like I'm going to do yours, just a reminder, whatever. And you have a schedule so that every month you're doing cross promotions with one of these people, and twice a year is not too much. It's not going to burn out people's audiences. It's good for, if someone came to me with that, I'd be like, yeah, that's, it's good for them. It's easy because I think everyone knows cross promotions are helpful, but it's just kind of a pain in the ass. So it's just find 6 partners, lock in the months, and then you can do it. So I think is worth doing. Do the thing that I've been meaning to do and don't get around to doing, and then tell me how great it is, and I'll get mad at myself. The other thing you could do is you could do some individual outreach to people in your audience who you think should be buying and should be joining your program and stuff, but haven't. So there's some of that is you might know, this person engages all this time. I don't know why they haven't bought. Reach out to them, email them, maybe have a conversation, maybe you talk about them, see what's going on there. The other thing you can do is check your newsletter stats to surface people. Can you find, wow, this person's, clicked links in my last 4 newsletters. They're clearly into my stuff. Why aren't they buying? Maybe I'll send them an individual, the kind of stuff that when you're busy, you don't have time to do in that sort of hand-to-hand combat, you now have time and can do, and maybe you can sort of push some of those people over the edge. And then the last suggestion I'd have for you is go get yourself booked on other podcasts. Use the podcast booker skill session. Emily, maybe you can drop a link to that in the chat. That will show you exactly how to reach out and pitch yourself to podcasts. Easy to do. Again, the kind of thing that when you're busy, it takes time to reach out. It takes time to, if they book you, record the podcast. But now when you've got time, it's a perfect time to do that. So basically, all those things are kind of a version of figure out what's working, figure out ways to do more of it, and then build in sort of cross promotions, get in front of other people's audiences. I think that's what I would spend my time on.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And relax, take a break, enjoy. All right, Emily.
Good problem to have. So
yeah, exactly. My next office hours call excerpt comes from a conversation I had with clients from Content member Caitlin Blundell. She's a local business coach who wanted to know how to get people she meets offline to subscribe to her online newsletter, and then ultimately how to get them to sign up for her in-person workshops. Here's what I suggested. Hey, Caitlin.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Where should we start? What do you give some people some context and let's talk about stuff.
All right. So where to start? So I am a business coach full-time. I'm actually a franchise owner here near Toronto. My audience is very local. They are business owners, kind of Main Street business owners or professional service providers who are in the same town as me. They're not necessarily people who are very active online or who are kind of inclined to subscribe to things like newsletters, but they do want help. They want advice. They want support. So I do send out a weekly newsletter. It gets the people who get it, love it, read it, open it, talk about it. But I've been having trouble figuring out how to make it a little bit bigger and more effective than it is now. So the 2-part question is that the first part is about, if I am doing a lot of my networking and connecting with people offline, should I be trying to bring those people onto the newsletter? Or is there a different process there of maybe going through LinkedIn first and then kind of building that way? And then the second part is around, making that newsletter list more efficient is how do I actually get people to register to come to in-person events through what I'm doing in the newsletter?
Okay. So let's start with the newsletter one. So are you meeting and interacting with a lot of people offline, networking events? Are you coming across new people all the time or not really? Is that part of the problem?
No, I meet people pretty often. I mean, I'm not talking about, thousands of people, but, I'm out at local events pretty frequently.
Okay. So when you're meeting people face-to-face, offline, whatever, and you're like, this person would be good for your newsletter, you want to give them a reason to get it. You want to make it as easy as possible. And you don't even need to pitch them, hey, sign up to my newsletter. So you're having a conversation with someone and you might say, you can come up with a piece of content that maybe you send it when people join your newsletter. It's in the welcome email. Hey, check out this resource that's amazing, or, whatever. You're having a conversation with them and go, hey, you run such and such business. I put together this resource, this video, this whatever about how to do X, Y, and Z thing that that they would be interested in. Do you want me to send it to you? Just give me your email address. Tell me your email address. I'll send it to you. You send it. You don't even mention newsletter, subscription, any of that. You send them it. You go, hey, here's the thing. by the way, every 2 weeks, whatever your frequency is, I send resources like this. Next week, I'm sending a resource about A, B, and C. Want me to send it to you? I'll sign you up. And they go, oh, this was good. Yeah, sure. And then you add them to the list, right? So that's one way, not the only way, but that's one way to do it, right? As opposed to, hey, it's going to be more uncomfortable for you to say, pitch your newsletter. For them, they're like, I don't know it's like, here's a specific resource. Do you want it? Yes, I do. I send it to you. Next week, I'm sending this resource in my newsletter. Do you want it? I'll add you to the list. This is true of social as well. The easier, it seems insane, but if you ask people to just give you their email address, they're more likely to get your newsletter than if you say, go click here and enter your email address in the thing. So sometimes I will, if I'm direct messaging with somebody or whatever, instead of being like, hey, here's the link, go get my newsletter, I'll be like, oh, let me know your email address and I'll send, do you want my newsletter, blah, 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 give me your email address and I'll send it to you. I know it seems crazy, but it's somehow like people are more likely to do it. So the same thing applies offline. So as you're meeting everyone, you're sort of always going in that direction. And I'm sure you have content and resources from your workshops and you can easily come up with stuff to sort of send people. And that's one thing that you can do. As far as getting the people on your list, I don't know if you watched it yet, but there's that subscriber to customer converter skill session. That is all about things you can do to get customers out of your newsletter and your emails. Emily, maybe you can drop a link in the chat to that as well. But I wanted to talk about also, I was checking out your landing page for your workshops, right? And so I had a couple of questions about that, and I'll share my screen in a second. But how are people, assuming you want to talk about this?
Yeah.
I think I'm sharing my screen. Are you seeing okay.
Yeah.
How are people getting, so this is a 1-day workshop that you do. How are people getting to this page?
So this is something that I run quarterly, run it mostly for clients, and then it's open for others as well. So mostly people are not coming to this page. Mostly people are on email with me saying, yeah, hey, I want to come to Growth Club this quarter. And then I send them an invoice and then they show up. I've had almost no ticket sales through this. And the people who are buying tickets, it's because they know me, because they've got a relationship with me and they know that I run this.
So for you, basically the way it's working is you got to get people on your email list. And then once you get them on the email list, you're getting them into this. They already know you or not necessarily?
Yeah, either they're on the email list or, we've interacted. Sometimes they do, this is the full day session. So this is the biggest kind of time commitment I ask for from people who I'm not coaching. I also run kind of 2-hour sessions about once a month. So sometimes there's that way somebody will come out to a more targeted session about a topic. I just ran one on management and leadership training, for example. And then once they're in and they know me and they've had some experience of what I'm like, then they get curious about the next step.
Okay. So I'm going to give you some feedback and suggestions on this that I think is about more than this, but can maybe filter into some of your other messaging and stuff. So the first one is the headline, create an action plan for your business. They actually want the result of that. So imagine if this was like, have your most productive quarter in the history of your business. And then the sort of subheadline is, will help you create an action plan to get there or whatever, right? So you want to make sure that your main pitch is the result, the desired result, and not just this. I mean, this is a result. Yes, they'll walk away with an action plan, but the reason they want an action plan is because they want an action plan that doesn't get them more business they don't care about. Right. So I think you want to tie everything to that result. Again, it doesn't have to be your most productive quarter, but I'm using that as an example of, ooh, that's more compelling than creating an action plan. Also, that's a result they want. This feels like work, even though it's work they need to do. And even though it's going to help them, sell them the reward, not just the work. I'm wondering, coaching is interesting and coaching program is interesting. I wonder if, it's a workshop. I wonder if that's better. I wonder if coaching program feels, I don't know. That's just something to sort of...
it's the language I was experimenting with. Okay. Talking to people, I mostly do call it a workshop.
Okay. So again, I don't know, but that was just a sort of thought. This is a big one. I would get rid of all the third person stuff. Work a full day with a business coach? No, it's you. They're paying in large part for you. So I think all of this needs to feel like it comes from you, and they need to get a sense of who you are and why you. They could choose another coach. They could choose a million different things to do whatever. And I think what they're really buying here is Caitlin. And I think you want this to feel like Caitlin. So first person, I think you want them. Now, again, I know right now people are coming through your email list and whatever, but this extends beyond just this page. I think all of your sort of marketing and messaging needs to feel like they need to get a sense of who Caitlin is and why they're choosing you. I think it will really help you. Nothing that you're doing should feel like this page feels like it could be a page on almost any coach's website.
Interesting.
And it shouldn't. It should feel whatever Caitlin is, whatever's unique about you and the reasons why they choose you and your experience and your approach and your whatever, it should feel like you. It's not work a full day with a business coach. It's Caitlin. Get Caitlin's help to blah, blah, blah. Why Caitlin? Because Caitlin's done blah, blah, et cetera. And even I think down here, what is Growth Club? Somewhere in here. I thought somewhere in here that maybe you're not even talking a lot about who you are and why you and what you've done. And, they're hiring you. So that's a big overall note. This is the other question you need to answer, especially when it comes to sort of creating an action plan. There's a million ways to learn how to do that. I can buy the book Traction. I can watch YouTube videos. I can listen to podcasts. I can use AI. I can do whatever. You need to answer why this is a better way to do that than any of those other things for specific people. Right. And you can even, you've bought courses and you don't use them. And, you can counter all of those things. Right. You can't ask a book a question. You can't show a book your thing and get feedback on it in the moment. You have answers to this, but you want to address why this as opposed to the alternatives that they could do to create an action plan. The other thing is it feels a little bit like you're talking to anyone as opposed to someone. I know we talked about in our email exchange playing up the local angle, if that's really what you're focused on. This feels like it would apply to sort of any business owner. And I think ideally it would narrow in a little bit and give people a reason. Maybe it's specific types of business owners, maybe it's business owners in a particular type of situation, particular income level, particular business. I don't know what it is, but sort of honing in a little bit. And you can have multiple of those, right? Are you in
I was about to say
this
kind of
situation?
multiple, yeah. Yeah, because they come out to it. They're either kind of solo entrepreneurs and they're looking for community and collaboration and ideas and, who's one step ahead of me and how do I connect with them? And that's not me most of the time. That's somebody else in the room.
I'm going to show you exactly a way to do that. So this is a sales page I helped this guy write. He has a course for basketball coaches, people that run high school and college basketball programs, right? They're all basketball coaches. He helps them build their program, but they have a lot of just like you, right? They're all business owners, but they're in different situations and you can help different them. So we did a version of this. Does this sound familiar? We're not winning, even though I'm doing everything I can. I'm overwhelmed, all the systems in place. My practices aren't organized. I'm struggling to develop a winning culture. I'm worried I'm going to lose my job. These are very different scenarios, right? Some coaches are like, I'm going to lose my job. Some are like, I want to win more. Some are like, I need more support from the school and community. Different. So you can list a bunch of and go, does this sound familiar? My revenue's sinking and I don't know what to do. My business is booming and I can't handle all the clients that I'm getting. This is a way to address multiple with the same product. So your version of this.
Yeah. Okay. So the two main audiences that come out of something like this are the solo businesses who are looking for community and collaboration. And then there's also the kind of partnerships or family owned businesses where, they don't have time set aside to actually have intentional conversation of what to do. And this gives them that kind of both things. It's either looking inward or looking outward. So that would
address both of them. Are you a solo business owner in Toronto? I don't know if Toronto's it, but are you a solo business owner in Toronto that's blah, blah, blah? Are you a family-owned business owner that's blah, blah, blah? I can help, that kind of thing. But that specific messaging, it's also going to make it resonate with people much more. And then the last thing was you sort of have an agenda, but not really. I'm going to go there for a day. Like, it would be great to be like, here's what's going to happen. From 9 to 10, we're going to do this. From 10 to 11, we're going to do this. From 12 to 1, we're going to do this, whatever. And then maybe you even incorporate, where were those testimonials? Maybe you even incorporate some testimonials, edition 1, bits of them with that, right? From 9 to 10, we're going to sit down and do an overview of your business. Testimonial from person who's that overview of the business immediately changed how I thought about everything. It unlocked so many things. From 12 to 1, we're going to take a first draft of your action plan. I was stuck and had no idea where to get started. Caitlin came up to me and helped me walk through and got me going and changed everything. right? So you really want to give people a chance to sort of experience and feel what this is going to be like, and basically get a lot more kind of specific with all of it. Does that make sense?
That's super helpful. Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome. Let me know if you have more questions. Email me. I know we're sort of just getting started here, but hopefully that gets you going in the right direction.
For sure. Thank
All
you.
right, cool. Thanks, Caitlin. The third office hours call excerpt I have for you today comes from Clients from Content member Emmanuel Bagareski. Emmanuel creates amazing visual images content creators can use on their social platforms or in other places. But he was looking for help to figure out the best ways to monetize his skill and ultimately attract his ideal clients. Here's what I told him to do.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks. So I have actually two questions, and we briefly spoke on the email about, the niche thing. And I just wanted to kind of get back to that because when you mentioned basically I'm trying to help people with their content and turning this into visuals. And how I was putting it out there was that I help you get tailor-made or hand visuals to your brand and to your content. But when you mentioned the get more out of your content, was something that internally I kind of thought about that because the way I was approaching the work, like getting into people's content, like I did with your podcast, and recreating the content in another medium was something that it was inside, but I wasn't really sure. And what I wanted to ask is, I thought about niching down on that, but I was thinking if it's too small, like it's always the question about niching, like Elena, but also could I see that as the niche for the service itself and kind of have a broader positioning for the brand as itself? Or I don't know, I'm just trying to make some.
By the way, I'm just sharing my screen. So for everybody that's listening, Emmanuel creates visuals for people. He made this for me without me asking. He just made it and sent it, which was super cool. And I posted and share it. So if there's anyone on this call, by the way, who wants visuals, talk to Emmanuel because he does a bunch of cool stuff. And this is his own LinkedIn account where you can also see a lot of his visuals and stuff. It's really good, really cool stuff. So he is trying to figure out, all right, how do you monetize this? How do you get clients? How do you position this? All that kind of stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a few thoughts here and some of them you may not love. So the first thing here is, what is the actual so like the images are cool, they work, they're great. What is the actual financial value of them to people? And I think that is the first key question that you really need to ask yourself. Are you fighting an uphill battle because people are like, this is really cool, I like this, it helps me get some more likes, it helps me get some more whatever. But at the end of the day, how much actual financial value is it creating? And this has nothing to do with you being good at it or not. I think it's just, is there a product there or is there a different way to sort of package up your skill? My guess is that you get a lot of people. So here's an example, right? In theory, I should be a potential paying client for you. I think your stuff's cool. It's great. I got a ton of content. I have no doubt I could give you a bunch of posts. You could find posts of mine. You could create cool images. I could share them. They would do well. They might even do better than my average post. Financially, I don't know what you would have to charge per image that you created for it to be worth your time. And I don't know what I would get financially. Let's say even if it worked great, let's say like crazy great, right? Every time I posted an Emmanuel image, I got twice as much reach, twice as many likes, twice as much whatever. I'm not sure what that's worth for me. In theory, it's worth, but it's difficult to assess. And again, I don't know what you need to charge for it. So do you feel like financially is part of the problem that you're having a hard time figuring this out because it just maybe doesn't connect to be worth the investment that would be required for it to be worth your time to do it? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I kind of have thought about that. And I have tried to think about how to package this because I have got to know people on sales calls and I do a little bit of discovery. So when you asked me to watch the market research skill session, I kind of was familiar with some of the things. And what I realized was it's hard to prove financial returns, like the ROI. It's like hard to justify on money. But I noticed that on time was probably kind of the line to go because the people I spoke to, all of them, they had the time and wasting time trying to do themselves, hating Canva. One even used the word like Canva destroying my soul. And this is one thing. Now,
but do they feel like they're willing to buy, or are they like, oh, this is interesting? Do any of them feel like, yeah, I'll pay for this, or that's where it gets tough?
Yeah, I got people to pay, but just for a one-time thing. And I am trying to
Yeah.
figure out more like a retainer, subscription type of
The
business.
people that paid for a one-time thing, why do you think they didn't want to then do more or do a retainer?
Maybe because I didn't follow up. I mean, it's
Okay. Well, you should follow up and
Yeah.
ask them, because regardless of whether they want to or not, even if they
Yeah.
don't want to, it'd be really helpful for you to understand, hey, you paid for this thing. How did you feel about it? Did you feel, oh, it was great? Would you want to do more? Nah, I don't think so. Well, why not? If you thought it was great, I think that would be helpful. The other thing that I'm
How
wondering,
did it go? Was like I asked. Sorry, Josh.
Oh,
Just
no,
that
no,
I
go
asked,
ahead.
and the feedback was very good. The person was like very impressed. I actually did to a person that ghostwrites, and then basically I did to him and to one of his clients, which was a way that I saw. Maybe I can approach ghostwriters or some sort of any person that has clients that could offer this, and they are involved into like
Mhm.
content creation.
well, it
an
also gives
approach.
the ghostwriter. So
A
yeah,
ghost
yeah. So
designer.
well, it also, yes, but it also gives the ghostwriter can make money on it. So because the ghostwriter has clients paying them. So the ghostwriter,
Yeah.
I have no idea what you would charge, but let's say you charge $100 for an image or whatever, right? The ghostwriter could charge 200 to his client, and now he's incentivized to sell it. So the idea, there is something potentially there if they feel like they can sell it, because they have people already paying for content, and maybe for them it's easy for them to add an extra whatever and it performs
Yeah.
better. So that's one
And all the people I spoke, they kind of had the same thought. We jumped on the call, we spoke, I talked about, their needs, but they always had this idea that I also have clients that I would love maybe to offer. One was working kind of like with messaging, and I want to build like the framework for the people, and I want them to be able to make it tangible, like concrete. So the visual could be, something to represent and so on. So yeah, but then I cannot, and I didn't figure out how to make it work for them to justify.
Yeah.
I need to follow up with people I already
Yeah.
spoke. So I don't have a definite, like a no, hard no.
Here's another idea. Think about other ways to take the core skill and the images and put it into something that can be monetized other than social. So for example, I'm not saying I necessarily do this, but I'm saying if you came to me and said, hey, why don't you pay me X amount a month and I'll create visuals for you? I'd probably be a no. Even though I like your stuff, I think it's cool. I think it would probably give me some posts that do well. I just don't know that I don't see it as sort of worth the investment. I'm not saying I would do this either, but this would be more likely or more interesting to me. If you came to me and said, I'm going to create a calendar with images from your posts and your quotes that you can sell to your audience, and you can pay me either a flat fee to create it or a percentage of sales, now we're generating new money. Your images and social posts aren't generating new money for me. Maybe they're giving me more reach. Maybe there's a trickle down effect. But if you start thinking, how can I take these images and help people who have audiences create products? I'm never going to create a calendar with images that I have designed, but it's not actually hard. You can pick 12 posts, a journal, right? You could say, hey, we're going to create a journal that's going to have these images that you can sell. Rob Roseman, if he's still on the call, is selling divorce journals and making money. You could go to Rob and go, hey, Rob, what if I create a bunch of images that for a cool journal, and you pay a flat fee or you do a percentage? I would be thinking about that. I don't know that it's going to work, but I think it's more interesting than just the social images. And for you, you're doing the same thing. It's just being put in a format that can create additional revenue.
Yeah.
Greeting card, another one.
Kinda,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of thought that, socials is one way, because basically how I'm trying to, I don't know how to externalize this yet, but how I see is that I am kind of getting your idea and I am making it an asset. And this asset you can use in many ways. It can be a calendar, greeting cards, it can be, you can make like a product, like you can put in your sales deck, you can put in your presentation, where sales page,
That needs to be the
newsletter
message.
ads.
Don't rely on them to connect the dots, because what they see is, oh, this guy makes images for LinkedIn.
Yeah, everybody says, oh, it's great, looks great, but yeah, cool, thanks, I really appreciate, but I need to know an extra thing here, not just
If you go to them and you say, if you come up with a few different ways that these things can be turned into products and sold. By the way, another thing is there's probably people that are self-publishing books and would love to have illustrations. So if you came to someone like me and said, or again, someone like Rob Roseman on this call, whatever, and said, hey, you have a big audience, you're selling, I can create images that are a journal, right? Elena said merch, correct? Could be merch, journal, could be greeting cards, could be illustrations for a book. what you're going to pay me is going to help you create a product that you otherwise wouldn't be able to create yourself. You're not going to have to do any work because it's going to be based on the things that you're already doing. And that's interesting.
Yeah, I haven't thought about kind of tizing this.
And by the way, you could
because
also package it. You could package it and go, hey, if you buy a journal, I will also give you one post a month for 6 months or whatever. So again, I don't know that it's going to work, but to me, that feels like a stronger approach. Look, I've thought about it. There are certainly times where I've thought about, yeah, I've got all this stuff and I could probably do something, a journal, a calendar or something. And I have a big enough audience that some people would probably buy it and would like it. But again, I get hung up because I'm like, yeah, but now I need images. I need it to be designed. I need to all of that stuff. And it just feels like a pain in the ass. But if you're coming in and going, you don't need to do anything. I'll design it. I'll design the images. Maybe.
Yeah. Because the way I ended up on this was actually, this is kind of like a new project. I was creating content audience in Brazil, where I am from, and for the past like 5 years. And then I started now towards, like a more international community. And then how it happened was that people started approaching me and I was like, I did not expect, because I was going more into kind of create sustainable ways to create content. That was the initial path. But there was so many comments and DMs and people commenting and talking about the visuals that I thought, maybe I am on something. But I wasn't sure what was something. And I was, struggling to package these into something that's more sellable than visuals, because, the social media part was that, it's something that's recurrent that maybe the person needs. But then I also don't know what's the scale of effort and how much the person can pay to be worth for them. Maybe it needs to be a more established business to invest, into this to be able to afford monthly. I don't know. That's how I saw it.
Okay. I just realized I'm going to have to go because I have to pick up my daughter, but let's continue this. I think there's something here. The other thing is I would also think about podcasts who don't have social posts, but you could listen to the episode of the podcast and create images from that, which then gives them social content where maybe they don't have content, or not really. They don't have good content. They just have sort of audio clips, but you can create visuals based on the audio clips. Also, it could be something that they could give to guests to promote on their channels that would be really good, compelling stuff. So let's talk some more about this.
Maybe.
So let's keep talking about this. But I think I think it's taking your skill and putting it into something beyond just a social post where it can more directly be monetized. I think there's opportunity there. Cool. And we'll talk. Thanks, maybe there's something for us to do as well. Because again, I don't think I would consider the social posts, even though I like them. But the other things, a journal, a greeting card, I could see my audience liking something like that potentially. So we'll talk. That's a wrap for this week's episode of Clients from Content. What you heard is the tip of the iceberg of how I help my clients. Go to joshspector.com/program to learn more about how I can help you. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon with another new episode of Clients from Content.